What's up, what's up, what's up? It's your man Chazz Ellis once again giving you the information that you asked me for. I want to make sure all of you go ahead and support as Chazz Ellis presents the game plan on Indiegogo. Make sure you click the annotation somewhere and support that. Also, we're doing a question every day on the ChazzEllisProject.com. I want to make sure y'all click on that and answer the question because we had a good dialogue last time. It was dope. Last night I really got to hear a lot of y'all opinions, so I want to make sure y'all do click that. And the question now is, do all men cheat? So I really want to hear what people got to say about that. I know that's going to be interesting. I know some of y'all responses is going to be crazy, and I really enjoyed that. I got involved myself because the responses was dope. So make sure you click on the ChazzEllisProject.com. You know it's going to be an annotation, so it's not going to be a problem. But click on that and answer the question, do all men cheat? No holds barred, let loose, let us know what you think. It don't matter what you say. We're going to prove it. We're going to let people see it, no matter what you say. Anyway, okay. The funny thing about it is, where this video came from was, we had that discussion of last night, and the discussion was about, can you have a relationship with somebody after you had sex on the first date? And a person that comments on Ask Chazz Ellis all the time, he made a comment and he said, basically, he was like, look, a lot of times you pick the person that's available, that's kind of like, that's the sure thing. A lot of times you call them up over and over again, and even when you plan on cheating on them, the other people kind of fall by the wayside because you just don't feel like, you don't want to lose out on the sure thing. And I was like, man, that sounds really messed up, but there's a lot of truth to that. A lot of times people do pick the sure thing, most of us. And I was just sitting there thinking to myself, because people ask me questions about should I hold out, and guys ask me, should I act like an asshole to this girl, or should I not make a commitment because I don't want to seem lame, or whatever the case may be. People ask those types of questions all the time. And I was thinking about it, and I was just sitting here thinking about life and how we work and how we do things, and I was like, you know what? A lot of times you should just be easy. A lot of times being easy is the way to go, and it's not just about sex being easy, but it's like being easy in general. A lot of times that's the way to go, because we're going to be real and we're going to be grown right now. We're going to be super honest, okay? So some of y'all going to get mad, some of y'all might get offended, but this is going to be super honest commentary just about what's going on and how things work. Let's be real with ourselves. For almost every person, every single person just about, they're usually talking to three people. Now, I ain't say they was having sex with three people. I ain't say they was really seriously dating three people. They're usually talking to three people. They usually have three people in their lives or more, right? Usually it's somebody you met online. There's somebody that you met in person, whether it be at work or at a club or something like that you're dealing with. And it's then somebody who is from the past. Either it was an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, or somebody that you just kind of talked to for a while and they done popped up again and you're talking to them now. And then you have, and whoever you're talking to, whoever you are, I guess in that scenario, would fit it probably into one of those three things. So, in general, how do we pick people? Because usually there's multiple people that we're trying to talk to develop a relationship with. So how do we pick people? Let's be real. Let's be honest with ourselves, right? 9 times out of 10, we have created a tier system. That's pretty much every single person across the board. Whether you did it consciously or subconsciously or whatever, you have created a tier system. And what your tier system basically works as is this. Here is the person that I would most likely want to be with. Like, this is what I would consider my ideal. Okay, and you may be talking to somebody that's like your ideal person. Here is a person that maybe there's one or two things missing that make them ideal, but there's still somebody that I would like to date and probably would enter into a relationship with. Then you have the person that you would never date pretty much no matter what. Now, we're different people depending on who we're dealing with. We're different. We're on the tier differently. We're on a different tier depending on who the heck we're dealing with. So some people, they get offended when you say, "Oh, you might be on the second tier, or you might be on the bottom tier. You're like, well, I don't feel like I'm bottom tier. It depends on who you're dealing with, because everybody's got different things that they care about. So that's what's going to put you on that tier to that person. So how do we pick people, though? Let's be super real. People make love super complicated. People make relationships super complicated. But a relationship generally boils down to this. Two people getting together initially generally boils down to this. You were the best person that was consistently available. Or you were the best person that was willing to give the commitment that they wanted. And it's usually like for guys, you're the best person that's consistently available. Like I called you, you kept coming over, you kept hanging out, we kept going places. And you were on the tier that I was looking for to be in a relationship with. Or you were the best person that was willing to make a commitment. A lot of guys would be like, they don't want to make a commitment because they feel like, oh, well, she might, I might get dissed by this girl, whatever the case may be. But a lot of times it's all about just, you were the first one to make a commitment. That was what she was looking for. And you were what she was looking for. You were on the tier that she would date. So you were the best dude that was willing to make a commitment. I know that sounds kind of like, what? So you saying that she settled for me? You saying he settled for me? It's not like settling. That's just, people say that all the time. Like, oh, well, they just settled. No. What it is a values. It's about values and what they place value on. Like, for instance, if you see somebody driving around in a Lamborghini, you don't say, look, that person settled for a car with no back seat. No, what you say is they must have wanted a car with a big engine. They must have wanted a car that had a lot of performance and that was really fast. That's what they must have wanted, so they picked a Lamborghini instead of something with 4 doors and a back seat. It wasn't a settling thing. It was that's what they cared the most about. Well, some people, most of us, when we're wanting to be in a relationship, we care the most about that person being consistently available. We care the most about that person being willing to make a commitment. But we also want them to be at a certain level. Like there's a certain level that we're just not willing to date, and there's a certain level that we would want to date. So it's kind of like this. A lot of people always talk about, I need to hold out, I need to hold out, I need to hold out. And then that person will value you more. I don't tell people to have sex with, I don't tell women especially to have sex with people right away, because you may not be in an emotional situation where that's a good idea for you. But I never say that holding out is going to make somebody like you more. If a person don't like you, holding out for 10 years isn't going to make them like you more. It may make them work hard to get sex from you, but eventually they're going to hit it. And you're going to go right back down to whatever level you were at. What being available does for you, what being willing to make a commitment does for you, is it helps you scoop people who are actually on a higher tier. Because it works like this. If I'm talking to 3 people, here's my ideal girl right here. This is like, she's exactly what I was pretty much looking for. And then you might be like here, not far below, but you might be like here. Not exactly what I was. It might be maybe 1 or 2 things missing that I didn't really think about, or I didn't really want. You might be right here. But this girl is flaky, never calls back, doesn't show up for stuff, doesn't really hang around, is playing hard to get, trying to hold out for, like, I'm not having sex and blah, 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 blah. And she might be like that for a while to where I lose interest. And then you're constantly around. So that means that we're building a bond that's outside of whatever she may have started out here. And you may have started out here, but because of the fact that we're building a bond and we're together all the time, you're the person I call first now. It used to be her and then call you afterwards. You can't control that. You can't control what you are to somebody. So I know people get mad about that. Like, I don't want to be second choice. You can't control that. And you're not going to know about it anyway. They could call that person every time before they call you, and there's no way you would know. So what ends up happening a lot of times is because you're available all the time, they start building a bond with you. And then this person starts becoming less of what they're looking for because they're building a bond with the other person. It works in a lot of different ways. A lot of times you could be number one. You could be right there at the top. And if you're constantly available, these other people just fall by the wayside because they'd rather hang out with you. But if you're not available, number two scoops you. It's like, you're never here. I called you 5 or 6 times. You didn't pick up the phone. You didn't want to hang out. So why wouldn't I? Just because you have all the stuff that I may be looking for, all the tangible stuff that I wanted, you're not available and you're never around. So why wouldn't I try to talk to somebody else and then I get to know them better and they have some stuff that you may not have had, or maybe you did have it, but I never got to figure it out. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't exist to me because I didn't get to figure it out. That's how it works. The system kind of works is if you're available. You know, I was reading this thing one time I was at the Boys and Girls Club. This is back when I was a kid. And it said 90% of success is just showing up. And, you know, it took me a long time, but I realized that that's true. You know, showing up and being prepared is 90% of being successful at anything. A lot of times you get the dude or you get the girl just because you showed up consistently. You get the person because you showed up consistently where somebody else was flaky, didn't do what they needed to do, didn't make a commitment. A lot of times as a guy, you can get the girl just because you made a commitment. And what has happened in our lives is most of us play this hard to get thing, don't want to make commitments, don't want to be available because once upon a time we dated somebody or we tried to talk to somebody who we weren't a person that they would ever date. We weren't the best person that was available to them. So even though we poured ourselves into that situation, they just didn't want us. And what that does to people is it causes you to think, oh, they didn't want me because I was too available. They didn't want me because I was too easy. No, they just didn't want you. And no matter how easy or how difficult you made things, it wasn't going to matter. Really, what being difficult does is push people away who actually want you. That's the strategies that we learn. We learn how to try to trick players, female and male players. We learn how to try to trick players into spending more time with us than they really would have. But we can't trick them into liking us. We can't trick them into wanting to be with us. And that's the problem we run into, is that that's how our strategies work. Oh, if you hold out for 90 days, he's going to respect you more, and he's going to have to prove to you that he really wants to be with you, and then y'all got a real relationship. But what happens? You hold out for that 90 days, dude smash, and then he's out. Because he didn't want you in the first place. And 90 days ain't going to make a difference. All that did was make him have to put forth more effort so he could hit it. But once he hit it, it's like deuces. If you don't make a commitment to a girl, then, and you don't really let her know for sure that you like her, then she will be around for longer and she'll really love you. Okay, she's trying to get that commitment, so she might work harder, she might do more, but eventually you're going to make that commitment. So when you do, she's like, you know what, not so much. Because she wasn't interested in the first place, and that's how things work. So make sure for you that you consistently make plans to be available to people who like you. If somebody seems like they like you and they're interested, be available. If somebody seems like they want to be with you and you like them, make a commitment. Because sometimes when you're the first person to make that commitment, you scoop everybody else. A lot of times when you're available, you scoop everybody else. And you might not be the person that they really was like, had their eye on at first. But let's be real, they might not be the person that you really had your eye on at first. So, but because you guys were available to each other, because you guys made a commitment, and that was the most important thing to you at that time, you guys got together and you realized that sometimes what we see in other people really ain't that big of a deal. Sometimes that top tier that we put people on, really, that was just something that we projected upon them. You know, and when we get to know somebody else, we say, you know what, the stuff that I thought that I wanted in that other person wasn't even real to begin with. They didn't even embody a lot of that stuff that I thought they did. I was like, oh, they're so good, they're this, they're that. And, you know, when you start spending time with somebody else and giving them a chance rather than just chasing the person that doesn't even want you, what you realize a lot of times is, you know what? this person is really cool. And that other person, that was just, they didn't do anything for me to really like them. They wasn't showing up. They wasn't here for me. Only thing I liked was just the idea of them and what they offered, not the real person. And showing up every day gives a person an opportunity to see the real you. Making a commitment gives a person the opportunity to see the real you and see what they would be missing out on if they went with somebody who isn't showing up and isn't doing what they need to do. And if you're on that person's tier as somebody that they would date, then you're going to win out. So a lot of times it pays to be easy. You know, being difficult, playing hard to get, that attracts players. That attracts people who enjoy the chase. But the chase has to end at some point. You're going to have to let them hit it. You're going to have to make a commitment. You can't do it forever. All right? So hopefully I was able to help you out. Once again, it's your man, Chazz Ellis. Go to the ChazzEllisProject.com immediately and answer that question. Do you think all men cheat? Because I want to hear what you guys got to say. I want to read it, whatever. I want to see what you guys got to say so we can interact with each other. Also, make sure you like and subscribe. Also, hit me up on the Chazz Ellis, on Ask Chazz Ellis on Facebook. And make sure you go ahead and support that Indiegogo, right? Ask Chazz Ellis presents the game plan. Support your boy. You know what I mean? You got a few more days to do it. Make it happen. All right? You know, whatever you can do. Peace. Make sure you share this video with somebody else. Share it all willy-nilly like.